Okay, I'm going to go ahead and state the obvious. It's been a rough week for Chargers fans, has it not? I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this Steelers game because why? But it plays a part, in large part, what's going to happen this weekend and what we have to look forward to potentially. So with that being said, got to chop it up, I guess. Do it begrudgingly. Y'all know what it is. Mr. TOP_FLYT3, aka Craig, and welcome to another episode of IG50I. Nothing like a good old reality check to bring you back down to earth, huh? This one came compliments of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, we've been riding pretty high since the offseason hiring of Jim Harbaugh, and with good reason. And no one should be down on him at this point. I mean, the team's still very much so in it, 2-1. It's only been through 3 weeks of the season. And you have to take into account what took place in that Steelers matchup. I mean, tale as old as time, and probably just add this to the list of life's guarantees. You got death, taxes, and a rash of injuries to some of the most important players on the Chargers roster in quick succession. I guess it just comes with territory. Welcome home, Jim. But anyway, what we did learn in this game, and there should have been a few takeaways. I mean, there were multiple takeaways in my opinion, but the Chargers are still very much so a work in progress. You know, I mean, you've got the interior offensive line. Let's start there, which for all intents and purposes is, well, offensive. Both Zion Johnson and Trey Pipkins' play has been pretty much up and down. And I mean, you could argue that it's almost opponent dependent. Neither of them has been very good against legitimate interior defensive linemen. And as far as Bradley Bozeman, holy. I mean, he has to, at least in my eyes, be the worst of the three, specifically in pass protection, which doesn't bode well when you feel like you boast the top 5-ish QB, right? And there are going to be games when you can't depend on the run. Kind of like what happened just this past week. And he came out firing. I believe he was, 10 for 10 to get the game rolling. Nice little TD pass to QJ, who's playing really well. And then look what happens. Rashawn Slater goes down, and the rest is history. They're going to have to figure out the interior, and quickly. My only concern is I'm not sure how much better they're going to get with the guys that they currently have. There's arguments to be made that either the talent is what it is and it's not going to improve that much or be developed that much more. And there are certain players within that group of three that have hit their ceilings. Zion, I'm not ready to throw him away yet. Trey Pipkins has actually been okay at guard, hasn't been horrible. But man, that Bradley Bozeman situation could come back to haunt the Chargers if they don't figure out something, and quick. But you know what? Now that I think about it, you know what was even more demoralizing? The fact that the Chargers pretty much got hit with an Uno reverse card. I mean, they essentially got hardballed. The Steelers came out with not a whole lot of offense to speak of in the first half. Justin Fields was super accurate, much like Justin Herbert. I mean, he went like 8 or 9 attempts also before he had his first incompletion, but the difference was in yardage. I believe Herbert was over 100 by the time halftime rolled around. And Fields might have been almost half of that, maybe. So, yeah, very accurate, but not gobbling up yardage on the field. And the run game was almost non-existent. Then you get into the second half, you have the Herbert injury, and then the floodgates are opened. Suddenly the running game that was, getting a yard, 2 here, 3 in a cloud of dust, no gains, negative yardage, suddenly started busting for 5, 15, and more. And then it just got pretty ugly. But what else are you going to expect from a team who had almost no offensive, well, not almost, literally no offensive efficiency in the second half? Negative 5 yards in a half of football? Nasty work. And there's only so much a defense is going to be able to do there. You get 3 and out after 3 and out, and sometimes short fields, and I don't know what else you can expect. So, just kind of watching the defense get cut down to scraps, again, was really, really, really difficult. And also being dissected by Justin Fields was not on my personal bingo card. By the way, the Bears might have been the problem, not Justin. But I'll give Caleb Williams until a full 18 before I jump out of the window on that one. something to keep in mind. But moving on. Well, yeah, I just want to make sure you got the full name. It's Cameron Phillip Hayward. Well, no, he didn't actually assault me. It was more like two very close family members. What do you mean that's snitching? You're a cop. Don't you guys arrest criminals? You know what? Don't worry about it. Thanks. Yeah, folks, never mind that. Listen, I don't know who's going to be playing on Sunday, but you know who absolutely should not be? Justin Herbert. Of course, he's going to stand in front of a mic and talk that warrior talk. That's his bag. It's how he gets down. But someone's going to have to save 10 from himself this time, because why would you subject your number one quarterback, the face of your franchise, to an offensive line that's, again, down its two best offensive linemen, and is going to be a complete hodgepodge? I mean, Sunday might end up being the Hunger Games, and it's unfortunate because Taylor Heineke's probably going to get his first start and be offered up as tribute. Look, now that I think about it, Buddy might need to spend the entire bye week in one of those med machines on Planet Namek. So if I were him, I'd probably hit Piccolo up and, get my reservation ASAP, because he's about to walk the path of pain for a full 60 minutes. And that's, well, if he survives the whole game, because there's a chance that he could get nicked up as well. But I mean, that's exactly what he'll be doing. Nearly every drop back, trying to survive, because he's going to be risking life and limb. I do not envy you, champ. As we pivot away from the forthcoming plight of Taylor Heineke, let's address some more of the upcoming situation here on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. Last week definitely served up a ton of pain Sammies and sloppy joes. But that brings me to my next point. Injuries are one thing, but they cannot be compounded by undisciplined play. So, yeah, got to call Asante Samuel Jr. to the front of the congregation real quick. And this is all out of love. The tackling has to improve. I mean, he whiffed on one play that ended in 6 in week 1, and then on another that resulted in a drive that ended in 3 points last week. So translation, we're about one play shy of this becoming a trend in 2024. His coverage has been pretty consistent, which is paramount on the outside, but just as important in this style of defense is sound tackling on the perimeter. I mean, can't stress that enough. It has to be shored up, or teams are going to start actively hunting him by having receivers run shorter routes. And when he plays off coverage, they're going to force him to square up in the open field and tackle. And if he doesn't get that situated, there's going to be more of the same. Definitely don't want to see that. Love Zion as a player, but the tackling has been an issue throughout the years, and it has to get better now, because if it doesn't now, it won't. And he showed some flashes here or there when he's tackled in the open field when receivers aren't aware of where he is, like when he has the advantage, when their backs are turned and he's able to pursue and be quick as a cat and get downhill before they have an opportunity to make a move on him. He's got to get better at tackling when he has to square guys up and they have a line of sight towards him. So that's going to take technique work. And this coaching staff is going to have to put him through the ringer about it. But dude, again, if we don't get that remedied, there may have to be some other decisions made. And I would hate to see that. I don't think they're going to take Zion off the field, but if he continues to cost the defense, I would not be surprised to see an adjustment made. As much as I would like to avoid talking about this, it has become such a hot button topic. I'd be doing it a disservice by not addressing it. Derwin, when you talk about 3 the hard way, have they been giving 3 a hard time or what? I'm not saying it's not deserved to an extent, but here's my gripe. Is DJ guilty of multiple personal fouls that have made him pretty much a target for refs? Sure. But humor me for a sec. How was that tackle on Pat Freiermuth Sunday called a personal foul in game, but the Christian Boyd hit that caused Devontae Smith's concussion? And to the folks out there defending that play, nasty work, by the way. But I digress. And also, Christian Wilkins spearing a grounded Rashawn Slater in week 1. How are those not worthy of similar in-game consequences? Notice the key phrase is in-game. A retroactive fine doesn't somehow mask the complete and utter inconsistency of officiating in a league where player safety is supposed to be top of mind. I don't expect refs to be perfect. Human error is part of the game, but those 2 plays going unpenalized in game is inexcusable. I mean, we ain't talking about subjective pass interference calls. Derwin's penalty was committed pretty much in the midst of a legitimate football play. The odds of that happening again, just by virtue of the sport, are pretty high. And that goes for any defender, not just DJ. I mean, the other two aren't actions common to the game today. I mean, maybe if we're talking about 1965, when Dick Butkus and the Goon Squad were pretty much allowed to mug any and everyone they pleased. But in this NFL, and by their own rules, these actions were done to literal embodiment, or the literal embodiment of a defenseless player in both instances. I mean, player safety either matters or it doesn't. It's like being kind of pregnant. There aren't any two ways about it. And, you are welcome to do whatever you choose. But if you choose to not keep it real about the situation, at least keep your arguments realistic. That's it, man. Climbing off of my soapbox at this point, because I'm not here to try to convince anyone what to believe. I mean, feel however you choose, but dog, some of this stuff is just really irritating. And it's amazing how the letter of the law seems to only matter in certain instances. And sometimes with certain players, not at all. But that's it for me, folks. Catch y'all during after hours after the game this week. Do join us there. And we'll see what comes of this Chiefs matchup. It's going to be rough. I don't think it's an impossible game to win. There's a method to the madness. You got to slow game down. I'm not sure how the running game is going to operate with all the mixing and matching up front. And you got to play field position. And the defense is going to have to step it up, which is going to be asking a lot after what happened last week. But it is what it is. So at least you've had a week to game plan. And it's going to take a Herculean effort by the team all the way around. Immaculate game plan. And maybe Jim Harbaugh's best coaching job to date to pull this one out. Good news is the Chiefs seem like they can be had. Patrick Mahomes isn't having the best year right now. And the offense is, just okay. They win a lot of games on defense. And also, there's that other thing where they seem to get these really favorable calls, but we ain't getting into all of that. I ain't going to put my tinfoil hat on today. Give it a break, at least for this evening. But till the next time, y'all know who it is. Take it easy. See y'all later. And I'm gone.